it.
This is episode 1 of Exploring Jeffrey Epstein's Death. Here I have with me Ryan and John, and I'll be asking them some questions and discussing our theories on the death of Jeffrey Epstein. So first, I will ask John. My first question is for John, and that is, do you know who Jeffrey Epstein is?
No.
Okay, so I'll give a little bit of background. Jeffrey Epstein was a very successful financial advisor and eventually opened up an own banking firm of his own. In 2008, June 30th, Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to a state charge of procuring for prostitution a girl below age 18, and he was sentenced to 18 months in prison. So that was his charge in 2008. In 2019, he also got charged with a sexual he was in charge of a prostitution ring, and he was convicted. He was tried and convicted, and they ended up charging him with sex trafficking, and a lot of them were minors. They weren't people that were of age. So, anyways, he was extremely successful and had lots of extremely successful people around him.
Right.
So Jeffrey Epstein had this island, a private island that he owned, like, personally, and he was he was trafficking minors in and out, like, off of this island. And there are photographs of the Clintons visiting this island and other high-profile people, people that are successful as far as, politically, socially, like on film, they're popular people or whatever. And so a big reason that everybody is so, like, into this case, and there's, like, it has, a lot of attention from the public and whatnot, is because a lot of people have turned this into conspiracy theory because there were so many successful people surrounded by him. So in August, Jeffrey Epstein was killed. In August, Jeffrey Epstein died. And the day that he died, he was scheduled to appear before court and basically give up everybody else that was involved in the prostitution ring. Or not in the prostitution, yeah. And there were supposedly going to be a lot of high-profile people that were on that list, and, famous people that could have their lives ruined by this, I guess. And so that was that was very, very disconcerting from the public and disconcerting on the prison's half, just because it was kind of on the prison to make sure that he stayed alive. So one of the conditions of him being in prison was he had to be checked on by guards every 30 minutes. So they made sure that he didn't hang himself. They made sure that he didn't
attempt to kill himself.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. And so it actually came out either yesterday or today. I'm not real sure. It was one of the 2 days that his personal prison guards were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes, were convicted of falsifying prison records. And basically what they were doing is they were, like, signing in and saying, yes, we've checked on him, and he's like, fine. But they really weren't, right? Because they were not only were they tried, but they were convicted and found guilty of falsifying prison documents.
Gotcha.
So among the popular and powerful people that had visited Jeffrey Epstein's island, Bill Clinton was one of them. And I'm just kind of wondering what you guys' thoughts are on an ex-president being not only close friends, but also visiting the private island of somebody that was tried and convicted of prostitution.
Right. It's definitely not a good picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's definitely not something that especially Clinton should be a part of, especially with, like, his, I don't know, definitely shouldn't be in that place.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, John?
Oh yeah, no, that is not good on his part, because he is the president. He has a high social status in politics, and so does his wife. I mean, his wife ran for president as well. And if it's not just Bill, it's her as well that's visiting, that have been photographed. That doesn't look good on either of them.
Mm-mm. So, kind of my main, a big point of this is kind of based on the Clintons, because the Clintons have a long history of people within their inner circles mysteriously, under no previous attempts or previous evidence of being suicidal, commit suicide. And this is I actually did a presentation on this in class a couple years ago, and there was I think 168 people that the Clintons had come in close contact with that had died mysteriously, just kind of out of nowhere. And so, that being said, Jeffrey Epstein was part of this inner circle, so he's friends with the Clintons.
Right, yeah.
And the Clintons have obviously been photographed and publicized being on the island where he was committing, awful deeds. And so, do you think that Jeffrey Epstein's death was suicide or murder? And that's kind of my big question on this podcast. That's kind of what my main topic is. That's my main question.
I don't know if the Clintons would stoop as low as trying to get that man killed, but wait, actually, yeah, they would win the world. But yeah, actually, I do think he's murdered by the Clintons, and if not by them, then maybe somebody else got to him first. Because if he's in deep with a lot of high-profile people that don't want their name out there so they get in trouble with the cops and the law, and yeah, I think he could have been murdered. Plus, didn't the guards not check on him?
Yeah, the guards didn't check on him, so a lot of people speculate that they were paid off to not, check in and right.
I think the same way. Also, given the fact that both of them have been involved in a big case, Clinton when he was president, wasn't he prostitution or something too?
He basically just took advantage of a White House secretary,
right.
Monica Lewinsky,
right.
Whenever he was married, and that's a terrible image to put out for a president.
Exactly. So he committed that, or
he was convicted of that.
Convicted
Yeah,
of it, right? That's the word he used. And Hillary is convicted of destroying him emails or something, right?
Yeah, it was
destruction of
classified information too.
Yeah,
She had classified emails on a private server in her house,
right,
instead of one that was monitored by the government, which is big time illegal.
Right.
I want to thank everybody for listening to episode 1 of Exploring Jeffrey Epstein's Death. I interviewed Ryan Helm and John Blamey. They're two good buddies of mine. Neither of them had any prior knowledge to what was going on with the death of Jeffrey Epstein. This is the first time that they've really heard much about it, other than seeing things on social media and other news outlets around them. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast, and I hope that you have been provided some insight into just our theories on how or why he died, or if it was really suicide or potentially murder. We're not sure. We won't know for sure until all the facts come out and the news looks into this a little bit more deeply than it has right now. But there's a lot of speculation as to what's going on. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.